Hey everybody, my name is Kevin and welcome to Kev's Vibe of the Day. Let's get right to the cards. So today I pulled the Lady, which in traditional tarot cards represents the Empress. She's the counterpart to the Lord in this deck, and in the tarot would be the Emperor. So, and incidentally, I should point out that credit goes to this deck, Angels and Oracles, or Angels Angels and Ancestors Oracle card by Kyle Gray, with artwork by Lily Moses, who I discovered the other day is from New Zealand. Anyway, I digress. So let's look at what is this and what does it mean. Well, it may surprise you to know that when this card shows up, it represents you harvesting the fruits of your labors and being open to receiving abundance from all sources, fertility, blessings. This card also represents a respect for nature and its workings, but not in a way that you're supposed to. We are supposed to respect nature for sure, but in a way that it talks about how using nature, using the blessings of nature, the rain and the sun and the moonlight. And right now we are right upon a full moon, which is in Aries. I'm not an astrologer, so if you'd like to know more about that, you can probably research a local astrologer, or for those of you that are just curious about the houses and astronomy and where all the planets line up, what a retrograde planet means, and how planets of the influential planets of Jupiter and Saturn and Uranus and or Uranus and all of the others, how they are affecting the planet Earth, of which is part of this solar system. I urge you and invite you to take just some basic courses. It might be something that's on my bucket list to study and look at, since I talk about it. Just fascinating. Anyway, back to the Lady. You see in the picture, she's just a woman that sits in green, representing money and opulence, and has nothing but apples. She's harvesting all the fruits of her labors. The core of the apple, let me see if I can pull it up, is shaped in the shape of a pentagram, and the 5 seeds form the 5 elements that in the Wiccan tradition. So this might seem a little weird, like how strange is it to pull a card of abundance, virtue, fertility, great wealth, financial security. How odd is it to be pulling this and talking about the inspiration of prosperity at a time when seems to be everyone's talking about lack? So this has also been my question in myself. How do I talk about being inspiring and positive and upbeat and joyful and happy and all of these things when it appears that the consciousness of the culture is the other way? I've long since said I devoted this entire year, I set the intention last November, to this: love. More love, more love, more love. I did it in November of 2020. Said I would dedicate 2021 to it. I'm now really upgrading that to the rest of my life. That this has been a year where I've defied whatever anyone thought, said, did, didn't do, with regard to sharing it and expressing it and telling other people about it. Because at the end of the day, that for me is all there is. I could certainly, and have in my past, gone down the road that's bumpy, filled with potholes, that would be lack, poverty, not good enough, isn't worthy, all of those things, which I don't get any more because I practice the opposite. Um, is it a practice to see the sunny side of the street all the time? Yes. Particularly when those around us are experiencing what they perceive to be real difficulty. And what I've noticed in my comings and goings and chit chat with people is if you can spread a tiny bit of that hope and that faith and that joy and that lightness, even if you were just to listen and offer a possibility or an opportunity to look at it in a different way, you might have done just a tiny bit more than adding on to the bandwagon of burdens. Certainly, I think for me, this card of the lady, which oddly enough I wasn't on publicly yesterday, but I did pull a card for myself, and the Lord came up, and the Lord comes up with standing your own ground and wield your own power and realize that you've got the right to be and say and do all that you want to be, say and do. Manifest anything you want to manifest and claim it all. What that brought up for me was the fear that we don't get the right to claim all that we want to claim, that we shouldn't ask for more than what we deserve. But then what do we deserve? What is that? What is deserving? What are we deserving of? And yes, we're on a precipice of you can choose. You can choose to be in the lack of, or you can choose to be in the abundance of. And if you look back at history, that seems to be the way most folks have lived their life. Those who are opulent, those who are of means, those who have worked out what prosperity is, and those who've not. And then take it a little bit further. What is the general thoughts and feelings behind it? Two things. One, I'm grateful, gratitude, respect, love for air, for any little gift I've got. Every time somebody offers you something, serves you, says something, I'm really grateful for you. I'm grateful for what you do. I'm grateful for you being here. All of this doesn't have to be grateful in showing big gifts. That to me is, sometimes it's vulgar. So staying in a state of gratitude for everything and everyone, and then sharing what's extra. And I would say sharing the extra bit of kindness, sharing the extra bit of, okay, yeah, we can help you. What do you need for me to do? That, sharing yourself with other people. It doesn't really mean writing a humongous check. Or I gave this to that charity, so that means I'm a good person. I mean, it could. I'm not discounting that you shouldn't do that. I'm just saying, well, there are other ways to be abundant, to be prosperous, to feel, oh gosh, amazingly blessed. Where it gets difficult is where you compare it, where the comparison happens. Comparing what you have with what somebody else has. And then you either see a deficit or you see, a profit. Don't know. I'm going off on tangent. Let me read from Melody Beatty's book, and I've got a funny feeling the Alchemist is yes. He said, nodding his head, yes. Yes. Okay. Fall into the arms of universal love. How crazy is this? Got this shirt going on, wrote about the lady who says enjoy growth and reap rewards, and love is certainly growth and it's certainly rewards. And here we go with this. Often in our lives we stand on a precipice. Something happens, a situation occurs, and in one moment of our life changes dramatically in a way we hoped and prayed it would not. We topple off. In that moment, we may feel as if we've been pushed off a cliff. Other times when we stand poised in our life, as our life changes dramatically, in one moment, it's a welcome change. We feel delightfully spontaneous, guided, powerful, centered, ready to take risks, ready to leap into the adventure. Sometimes we've pushed, sometimes we've decided to take the leap on our own. Either way, we're safe, we're protected. Either way, we can trust that we'll land in the arms of universal love. Now, that to me is abundance. I felt this year particularly, it is all in the way that you look at things, it's all in what you're attracting. I've learned this year about the law of attraction more so than I learned it when I first read it. More about return to love, more so this year than when I first read Marianne Williamson's book. And all of these lessons are sort of returning as if I were looking at small snippets, the trailers of all the things I've brought into my bucket of whatever that is, looks like. And back to my original, all right, I know, I'm hearing this. The Alchemist. Talking about the way you look at things, I look at it like trains, and I'll share this with you before I bring him in. What was it, 8 years ago? 2013. 8 years ago. I've told the story before. I'm colouring somebody's hair, I'm not feeling right. At noon, I checked myself into Presbyterian, what was Presbyterian then, it's now Novant, Matthews, North Carolina, having a few issues. I knew intuitively I was having a heart attack. I knew it. I took my little computer bag, parked my car in the parking lot, went in, and sure enough, you're having a heart attack right now, this minute. I bargained in the emergency room because I had this fear that I would not be able to pay this bill, that it would be so heavy of a burden. I was conjuring up silly thoughts in my head that they were going to be putting liens on my house to pay this bill. I mean, it was silly. And I heard a voice in that emergency room that I thought was a nurse or a care worker. It was not. That said, you're meant to survive this. The money will come to pay for it. Done. And I thought it was a real person. It was not. There was nobody there. No one said it. I went in. At the time, they could not get me to downtown, the cath lab, because they said, you'll never survive the journey from Matthews to Uptown in the ambulance. So we had to get somebody right now. So then there was this quick act. Dr. Gary Neese was at lunch, got this page, showed up at the cath lab. 45 minutes later, I am being fitted with whatever, 2 stents. Go and I recover. During the recovery process, my blood volume that's supposed to go around your body, meant to be 65% of your whole blood volume is circulating. 35% is in the heart chamber itself. Ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. My numbers were reversed. So I am at the point where we're not sure whether or not this number's going to go up or down or flip or flop. I think in those moments, there are these near-death experiences. You're on a precipice of right between the two worlds, right between where life goes on in a different way, or life continues in this way, but there is definitely a change. I do remember a vision. I do remember speaking to my ancestors that are on the other side, calling me forward and saying, listen, it's your choice. A bit like when you get on a train. Mind the gap, the doors are closing. We're about to go to the next station. And I decided to stay on the platform, let the doors close, and off went the train with my ancestors in it. Well, it's not a fluke that I have this vision, or had this vision, that there was me as I used to be, looking back as if I were on a subway train in the last car, looking through the windows into this dark abyss. And then the other train is my new self looking back and moving forward in this vision I have I'm going backwards in a way. The train's moving forward, but I'm saying goodbye to who I was and what I was. And I know that since that moment, and they are moments, they're quick, fleeting moments, I knew there was something bigger, better, brighter, more challenging for me to do. And this is it. It took a while. I woke up. The nurse came to get me to a regular room. And when I was sat on the bed, I was still hooked up to all kinds of wiring. I'm like, take these out. I want to shower and I want to go. And they were startled because, the night before I had been in perils. Now I'm like, okay, let's go. Let's get this doing. Let's go with it. I think I came out there somewhere around noon. 2 days later, basically 48 hours. And within a couple of hours, 3 hours, I'm right in the middle of a yoga class, practicing yoga. Just silly. But my point to all of you is, and with Melody Beattie's book, life does change on a dime, for sure. And right now we're in that place where it is a reconciliation, if you will, of what you are about, what you're doing, what you've come to do, what you want to do. And this alchemist is here. So I want to be respectful. Put your feet on the floor, and before he comes to talk, bring your palms upward and in receiving of all the goodness, and bring your eyes down. What I would like for you to do now is take a big breath in. Fill up, more. Sift in more of it. Abundant air that you've got. And slowly, as you exhale with control and as if you are settling right down into this space of no worry, no toil, no problem, just truth. Let yourself just go. Exhale really slowly, really controlling, and just keep saying things like relax, I'm safe, I'm free. Just gently following the voice. Exhaling to relaxation. Inhaling to abundance, prosperity, and gifts. Hello, everybody. Hello. It is my pleasure to come speak with you. I am so delighted that the Master Kevin shared the story again, and I'm going to add something to it, in so much to say that for all of you, for each and every one of you, there is a guardian angel and the spirits of your ancestors that are around. And I will add that the veil between these two worlds and existences at this time of year, particularly the Halloween, they call it. You guys call it Halloween. I find it rather amusing that it's the time of year that young children are taught to consume more confectionery than they really should. Houses are decorated with all sorts of things. Anyway, it's a lovely beginning to a festive season. The season of thanks, the season of gratitude, the season of greetings, the season of love, the season of looking back on what has happened so far and being grateful for the accomplishments, grateful for the help, grateful for the people, grateful for all kinds of things that has been accomplished throughout the year. And not to make this somber or to send you down a road that is not so pleasant. There are those folks who have climbed out of the physical into the non-physical existence and are no longer representing their life with you in physical form. Some could be close to you and you may be experiencing great grief. Some not so close to you, and there's a slight wave of sadness that you've felt they've left. This is the difficult part of transitioning planets. Planet Earth, the other planets, the solar system, the great adjustment. And in all, and in everything, there are always choices. Things that are perceived as super difficult, super challenging, very, very harsh and hard, and don't know if I can keep going, this is very difficult, la 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 la. As in the great Master Kevin's experience, there are times through dreams, through situations where your ancestors come. Angels send them. Choices. You have choices. You have choices. You have choices. What would you like to do? How would you like to be? It's why some experience this issue where a loved one is in the brink of leaving the physical form as they've known it, and their loved ones in that lifetime gather to pay respects, to say goodbye, to whatever they need to do. Somebody would like to see you, they'd like to visit with you. And in those moments, the spirit that is climbing away from the physical, moving back into the non-physical, is looking for the permission to go, the permission to leave, the permission that it'll be okay, we'll be fine. And they're locked into, gravitated towards the physical feeling that somehow they're needed, somehow they're wanted, somehow they've got more to do, somehow, but that's not necessarily the case. I don't want to make this somber as sadness, I'm just pointing out the truth. And today's message that is so poignant for all of you, this life, this abundance, this prosperity, these blessings, the blessings of life itself, is miraculous. It is phenomenal. You, there, listening, watching, learning, have got the driving seat, the gearbox, to drive your life where you wish to drive it. Yet so many of you are caught up in the drama that you aren't. Somehow you're not. Somehow it's not right. Somehow this, somehow that, blah, 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 blah. Listening to stories, situations, and people that are so stuck on the negative, the lack, don't have, or so driven by what needs to be done, what's got to be done, what has to be done, what needs to be done, what's got to be done, what's happening, worry, anxiety, worry, oh my goodness. All of this. This is not abundance. This is not prosperity. This is not appreciation. This is not how and why and what you're here to do. This is the time to focus on the love that's coming, the love that's here, the abundance that's coming and the abundance that's here. The gifts are coming and the gifts are already here. For you cannot attract more of this unless you are in it, on that energy cycle, in that vibration. So my message, my darling friends, and I love you, love you, love you. Become the alchemist of your own life by claiming what you are worth now. It doesn't matter when, how, who, what, where. You manifest your riches. You must decide that you are worthy of the riches. Act like you have the riches. I am not suggesting you go out tomorrow and start loading up with materialism. It isn't this. We cannot be by showing. Let me say that one more time. You cannot be anything by showing it. You have to feel it. You have to behave as it. You have to start thinking like it. You have to begin to attract it. And this is where the Master Kevin has learned it. Oh, I'm just going to be kind, loving, caring. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate this. I appreciate that. It is so good. It is this. It is that. In not buying into this is wrong, that's terrible, you're bad, you're this, no, la la, boom, boom. Indeed, I don't want to paint this rosy picture and say that there aren't folks out there that are lining up with the evils of the world. Evil was created by man. Evil is not created by the universe. The divine that you worship, the divine that you call your gods, the mothers and the fathers of the goodness, they are not here to have you suffer. That's a lot of work. They are here to remind you to love, to remind you to be prosperous, to remind you to be opulent. And even so now, where there is this opportunity. As you know, there are two ways of thinking to balance everything you have, to appreciate the goodness, the abundance, the opulence, the grace, all that is coming to you, all that is you, all that's available for you, means you have to feel that you are in it. The same for the opposite. And you now know, if you can see those who are in that opposite trending, the trending of no, so good, this is awful, that is terrible, blah, 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 blah. Almost feels nauseating, almost feels ridiculous. So, I think we are done with that message, and I thank you for listening and taking the time to pay attention. Go with love, go with light, go with joy, go with peace, and go with gratitude. There's much of this here for you always. Until next time. Bring your hands to heart center. Whew. Where do you keep that gratitude? Where do you keep that honor? Where do you keep that love? Where do you keep all that you are that's so incredibly amazing? Find it, reach it, feel it, be it. Then lift your thumb knuckles to third eye center, and together we bow and say namaste. Woo. Thank you, my friends. I appreciate you and all that you do, and I love you. And until next time, bye.